Slowly but surely, GM is carving out its space in the electric world, building options that stretch across budgets and lifestyles. At the top of that ladder is the Cadillac Escalade IQ, a familiar name now reimagined as an all electric, full size luxury SUV. It brings the scale and presence the Escalade has always been known for, paired with an electric range of over 400 miles. Performance is not in short supply with enough power to move this nearly 9,000-pound SUV from a standstill to highway speed in under 5 seconds while still towing serious weight. Cadillac has added tech to make it feel more manageable than its size suggests, including adaptive suspension and four-wheel steering that even allows diagonal movement in tight spaces. Inside, the focus shifts to comfort and technology. A 55-inch display, seats that offer heating, cooling, and massage, and a glass roof that opens the cabin to the sky. There is flexible space for passengers and cargo, along with safety and driver assist systems like the Super Cruise hands-free driving. Starting around $130,000, it enters the same arena as the Lucid Gravity, aiming to show that Cadillac's flagship can adapt to the electric era. The Cadillac Escalade made its debut in 1999 as Cadillac's first luxury SUV, created as a quick response to the Lincoln Navigator. The first model was based on the GMC Yukon Denali but gave Cadillac an immediate presence in the growing luxury SUV market. In 2002, the second generation arrived, introducing Cadillac's bold art and science design language and more premium features. By 2007, the third generation added stronger performance, a striking exterior, and an upscale cabin that cemented the Escalade as a cultural icon, especially in music and celebrity circles. The 2015 fourth generation refined the formula with modern tech, magnetic ride control, and a true flagship interior. Then in 2021, Cadillac launched the fifth generation with a complete redesign, adding an independent rear suspension, a curved OLED display across the dash, and advanced driver assist features. Today, the Escalade continues to represent Cadillac's mix of luxury, technology, and presence on the road. The front of the Escalade IQ has a broad hood with clean lines and a flat upper surface. Below it sits an enclosed panel shaped in Cadillac's shield design, finished in a textured pattern that replaces the traditional grille. Slim horizontal running lights stretch across the top of this panel, while the main headlights are stacked vertically in tall housings at each corner. These housings also contain vertical daytime running lights that extend downward along the bumper. The bumper itself is wide and solid, with a lower opening that spans most of its width to guide airflow. Small vents sit at the outer edges to help manage aerodynamics around the front wheels. The overall layout keeps the upright Escalade stance with simpler surfaces suited to an electric vehicle. The side has a long and upright profile with a high beltline and flat roofline. The windows are outlined by black trim with a chrome accent along the lower edge. The door panels are smooth with a subtle horizontal contour running front to back. Flush door handles sit level with the body. The squared wheel arches are filled with large multi-spoke wheels with 24-inch tires. The rear quarter has a slightly tapering roof and a vertical rear pillar that highlight the box-shaped design. The rear is upright and wide with a clean surface across the tailgate. Vertical LED light blades are mounted at each corner. A horizontal light strip connects them across the top edge of the tailgate to create a continuous lighting signature. The Cadillac crest is centered on the tailgate and pressing the logo opens the powered liftgate. The bumper is body colored with a black lower section. The rear glass is nearly vertical, framed by the taillights on either side, and a small roof spoiler extends over the top. The passenger door has a sculpted interior panel with an armrest, integrated window and lock controls, ambient lighting, and a storage pocket with a speaker. The core structure of the panel is durable plastic, while the visible surfaces are finished in soft touch materials that vary by trim. Chrome or metallic accents highlight the controls. On the driver's door, the armrest houses control for the four windows, a window lock button, lock and unlock buttons, and side mirror adjustments. Near the handle are seat adjustments and a memory button, including heating and ventilation controls, two seat-shaped switches for position adjustment, a memory set button with 1 and 2 presets, and a small dial for ventilation levels. The dashboard is finished with soft touch surfaces and leather in some trims. A head-up display projects in full color and is reconfigurable. A 55-inch display stretches across the dash with a glossy finish, metal accented borders, and speakers at each end. To the left of the steering column are buttons for the trunk release, front trunk release, automatic parking assist with braking, ride height adjustment, and a suspension control button. To the right of the steering wheel are two dials, likely for adjusting cluster brightness. The leather-wrapped steering wheel has horizontal spokes with flush control panels finished in black and bordered in metallic trim. On the left, controls include the Super Cruise activation button, a heated steering wheel button, lane keeping and following distance buttons. On the right, controls include voice command, phone connect and disconnect, an audio source button, and arrow buttons for media or menu selection. At the top of the steering is the camera strip for driver monitoring. The left stalk houses turn signal, headlight, and wiper controls with off, int, and on settings, plus high and low speed. Behind the wheel on the left is a small toggle for regenerative braking marked with plus and minus. Pulling it increases braking, releasing it reduces the effect. The right stalk functions as a gear selector. The 55-inch curved OLED display is divided into four zones. On the left, the drive information section shows speed, battery status, energy use, navigation, driver assist features, and trip data. The center section provides Google Maps navigation, media, seat adjustments, vehicle settings, and Google Assistant. The right section is a passenger display with access to entertainment, climate and seat controls, apps, and vehicle information. Along the bottom, customizable widgets show charging status, range, media, weather, and calendar notifications. The display supports touch, voice, and rotary dial control. The console itself has a large dial for audio and a small dial that I can't really make out the use for. We'll try and confirm that. It includes two cup holders, two wireless phone charging pads, USB ports, and a 12-volt outlet. Below the main display is an 11-inch touchscreen for climate control, seat heating and cooling, media, navigation, charging, and driver assist features. The cantilever design leaves open storage space below. The seats use Cadillac's premium synthetic leather with a chevron quilt pattern, varying slightly by trim. The first two rows have more than 40 inches of legroom, but exact comparisons are difficult since measurements vary by manufacturer. Comfort is solid in the first two rows. The third row drops to about 32 inches, which is roughly similar to the Lucid Gravity and Rivian R1S. Because of the skateboard platform and the large battery pack, the floor sits higher, leading to a knees-up posture. This is common in electric SUVs. In the Escalade, the wider and longer body helps offset some of that compromise. The Escalade IQ replaces the traditional engine bay with a fully lined front trunk measuring just over 12.2 cubic feet. It includes a 110 outlet, integrated lighting, and a powered hood that opens and closes at the press of a button. The space is deep and box shaped, making it useful for luggage or gear. High voltage distribution units and other electronics are positioned around the edges, sealed to leave the floor clear. In the rear, there are about 24 cubic feet of cargo space behind the third row, expanding when the seats are folded. At 224.3 inches long, 94.1 inches wide with mirrors, and 76.1 inches tall on a 136.2 inch wheelbase, the Escalade IQ carries serious presence. The styling is subjective, but the fit and finish give it an edge over rivals like the Lucid Gravity. Let's now compare the Escalade IQ with other comparable vehicles out there. The Escalade IQ rides the softest with standard air suspension and magnetic ride control, keeping a very large, very heavy SUV calm over broken pavement. The seats are big chair comfortable and the optional executive second row is lounge-like. The trade-off shows up in the way back. Despite the size, the third row feels tighter than you expect. The Lucid Gravity takes a different approach. It sits lower and lighter, with an emphasis on body control, while still delivering a hushed cabin. The ride feels refined without going floaty. The Rivian R1S sits in the middle. It has air suspension too, and the latest update made it quieter and more composed, so it soaks up rough roads but keeps a planted feel. The third row is usable for kids or short trips. The Model X is comfortable enough day to day and quiet on the highway, but it feels older underneath and the cabin materials do not feel as premium as the others. On capacities, the Cadillac is the space king. With all rows up, you get about 24 cubic feet behind the third row and with everything folded, you are looking at close to 120 cubic feet. There's also a generous frunk. Lucid packages the Gravity smartly, with about 19 cubic feet behind the third row and roughly 112 cubic feet with all seats down, plus a useful frunk. The R1S offers about 18 cubic feet behind row 3 and around 105 cubic feet max, with handy underfloor storage and Rivian's gear hauler touches. The Model X has the smallest usable cargo hold of the group, with all three rows up, about 15 cubic feet and a maximum in the mid 80s with seats down, although the frunk helps. Seating layouts range from 5 to 7 depending on configuration. Range and charging show different philosophies. The Escalade IQ has over 200 kilowatt hours and runs on 800 volt architecture. Cadillac quotes an estimated 460 miles of range and up to 350 kilowatt peak DC fast charge power, with about 100 miles added in roughly 10 minutes on a high power charger. The Lucid Gravity aims for efficiency with a 900 plus volt system, targeting up to 450 miles depending on trim, with very high charging rates on 1000 volt hardware and still solid performance on common 500 volt stations. The Rivian R1S uses a 400 volt system with several pack sizes. The latest models support up to 220 kilowatt on DC fast charging, and range spans from the low 300s to around 400 miles depending on pack and drive unit. The Model X also runs a 400 volt pack with around 95 kilowatt hours usable. It tops out at about 250 kilowatt on superchargers and typically does a 10 to 80% session in about 30 minutes. Range is roughly 316 to 329 miles for the dual motor and just over 310 for the plaid. On the tech front, the Escalade IQ has a sweeping 55-inch pillar-to-pillar curved display, Super Cruise, AKG audio, and the luxury touches you expect in a rolling lounge. The Gravity uses Lucid's clean interface with a 34-inch curved driver display plus a central screen, available Surreal Sound Pro and DreamDrive Pro driver assistance. Rivian's system is handsome and responsive, with big tiles and frequent over-the-air updates, but it skips CarPlay and Android Auto. The Model X remains a software powerhouse with a 17-inch center screen, a rear passenger screen, built-in streaming and games. Like Rivian, it leaves out CarPlay and Android Auto, and most functions run through the central touchscreen. The R1S and the Model X have an edge over the other two on software features, OTA updates, and the user interface. Usability depends on your priorities. The Cadillac is best if you want full-size SUV space and towing. It can pull 8,000 pounds and has unmatched cargo volume, but its size makes parking a challenge and the third row is not the best for adults. The Lucid Gravity is easier to live with if you want long-range road trips without the bulk. It is lighter, sits lower, and has a 6,000 pound tow rating. The Rivian R1S may be the most versatile overall. The size is manageable, the hatch and underfloor storage are clever, off-road modes add genuine capability, and towing is rated at 7,700 pounds. The third row works for kids or shorter rides. The Model X wins on charging network convenience and efficiency for its size, is the easiest to park and has a handy frunk, but you have to get along with the Falcon Wing doors. Towing is 5,000 pounds. If you want a true luxury land yacht that glides in silence and swallows cargo, the Escalade IQ is your pick. If you want the most advanced EV powertrain and road trip speed per minute plugged in, the Lucid Gravity is the efficiency and charging champ. If you want one SUV that can do school runs, ski trips, trails, and road trips with minimal fuss, the Rivian R1S is the sweet spot. If you value the supercharger network, Tesla's software, and the sleekest shape, the Model X still makes sense. Just know that it is not the freshest package inside or underneath. The software leaves me underwhelmed, especially when I stack it against the competition we have looked at here. What you get in the Escalade IQ is basically GM's Google copy, the same setup found in the Equinox, the Blazer, and even Honda's Prologue and Acura variants. Not the polished experience you see in the Volvo Polestar Duo. And for a premium car like the Escalade, it really deserves something better. Outside of that, the Escalade IQ leaves little doubt about what it stands for. It's big, it's bold, and it gives you a full luxury experience the moment you step inside. Cadillac has made sure that comfort, presence, and fit and finish are right where they need to be. On the flip side, this is a world that's quickly moving towards software-defined cars. Tesla, Rivian, even Lucid have shown how much the driving and ownership experience can be shaped by software and that's the space where Cadillac will need to catch up. From an EV standpoint, though, the SUV is fully loaded. A massive battery that delivers serious range, capability for towing, and charging that makes long distance travel very possible as infrastructure grows. Networks like Iona are expanding quickly across the US, which should make keeping a vehicle of this size on the move easier than it might have been just a couple of years ago. So the Escalade IQ is not just an electric Escalade, it's Cadillac's signal that it intends to stay relevant in the EV era. Thanks for watching. You can also check the cars compared here, particularly the Lucid Gravity that cuts really close with the Escalade, in the links here or in the description. See you in the next one.